I don't know how some moms do it. I see YouTube videos with aesthetic clips of how the day in life with 200 to go, and that's not how my videos have been, how my life is. I have one toddler and one newborn. I also work, I also take care of the house, and I think it can get really challenging. So for that, the options are, if you don't live near parents like my case, your options are daycare or hiring a nanny. Having tried both, I've looked into what experts say, I have compared costs, considered different family cases, and I want to break it down for you so you can make a decision and see what's best for you. But let's first talk about how life is without any help. If you're at home with 2 kids, I know it can be manageable if you don't work and if you don't do a lot of things in the house. In my case, I like my house to look as clean and organized as possible every day. I like to cook. Also, it depends on your kids. My toddler is very energized and very active. He is not the type of kid that's going to sit for an hour playing with a toy. No, he wants attention, he wants engagement, and he wants to flip activities very quickly. So having to take care of him, give him attention, and also make sure he's safe, because this age gets a bit, they think they're Tarzan or something. They're hiking and climbing and getting in trouble all the time. So you also have to be a police officer and watch them all the time. If they're quiet, run. Something is about to happen. That factor, and also the fact that my toddler has been very jealous with my newborn and wants to hit him. So I have to be really on my feet all day trying to take care of these 2 kids, and there's nothing else I can do if I'm with them. However, the bond that you get with kids when you are a stay-at-home mom is like nothing else. I think it's wonderful, it's amazing. You get all the firsts, and it's so heartwarming. I love to be present for every first for my kids. Other beautiful things are that I have control over what they eat, what they learn, what they do, who they play with, who talks to them, and that feels really comforting as a mom, especially as a new mom. But then one of the cons is that, yes, if you want to make money, if you need to work, that complicates things, because I believe in radical acceptance. If you are with your kid, you can't be trying to do something else. If you're trying to scroll or send a text and then your kid is doing something, you're gonna notice that you're gonna get annoyed at your kid, which is not fair at all. And that is because you're not accepting your situation. It can get really tricky and you end up being irritable and sometimes being angry at your kids, which is not fair to them. When you become a parent, you should get into your mom era or parent era, but there needs to be a balance, because I am a therapist, by the way, and a really common comment I hear from my clients is that my mom is so controlling, she's unbearable. And when I hear about the mom, it seems like the mom abandoned everything to take care of their children. And I am there for a long time, for many years, mom only learned that her job was to protect you, to be with you, to control you, to make sure that you're okay, and nothing else. And now you've left home and she has no other identity, or she doesn't know how to recover herself or what else to control or do. So these things can get a bit dangerous long term. I think it's best to keep a balance. So having a full-time nanny can be really great if you want to have your kids stay at home and you still want to keep as much control as you can over their life. Everything was upon my approval, and that felt really comfortable and amazing, because it just felt like I had an extension of me being the nanny taking care of my kids. So when I went into my office, I could work, and then I would just step outside and see the nanny and my kid, and be aware of everything that's happening. So that is really, really great. So yeah, many great things with the nanny. She can integrate into family dynamics, understand how you want your kid to be taken care of. Hopefully they respect you and follow what you want them to do for your kids. If we think of the pros of having a nanny, especially a full-time nanny / intern, I think it's mostly monetary. So you do have to have a space for them at home. I like to make sure that they're comfortable, that they like their space. Also, we are very generous with all the food that we have at home. So we have to, up our budget. So she can also eat everything we're eating with the freedom that she deserves. So we do that as well. If we think of utilities as well, like more electricity is utilized and more water, you just need to understand that you have to up your budget because one more person is living in your house. Then there's their salary, and then, just additional things like dynamics can be sometimes difficult. You're living with someone all the time, and it's not easy to live with anyone. I'm sure you've had arguments with everyone you've lived with because sometimes you clash, and sometimes there are things that you don't like that you have to talk about because they live with you and you want to create some sort of harmony and comfort together. So sometimes conversations and things like that get a bit uncomfortable. And I guess another con can be that they also have a personality, and although they are integrated into your family, they come from a different background and culture and family, etc. So they're gonna bring in those things, and your kid is gonna learn from those things too, even if you don't like it. It's something you can't really avoid. In my case, it doesn't really bother me, but I know I've spoken to other parents and there are cases that it does bother them. Now, the pros and cons about daycare. Oh gosh, I was so against daycare my whole life, I think. I did not have a good experience at daycare myself, but it was back in the day. And also, I thought that I wanted my kid to go to daycare when he could speak, so he could tell me like, Mama, this happened. But once I got pregnant and I started to see how my routine was going and different logistics, I realized that this was not going to be possible for me to do without daycare, even though I had a full-time nanny at home. I realized that she was not going to be able to take care of the kids on her own, and I had no other option but to take him there. I also realized that my toddler needed space to socialize and activities to do with other kids because he was always around adults and adults that were obsessed with him. His interactions with adults have been really amazing, but his interactions with other kids is a bit awkward and difficult. So we thought like, okay, like that's going to be one benefit we're going to see. And in fact, studies by the National Institute of Child Health and Human Development suggests that high quality care at daycares can be really beneficial for kids' development of language and social skills and even motor skills and things that they do with their bodies and potty training, just many things that you probably are not going to teach them at home because you don't know how to model it, or you're just not there naturally modeling things for them, but other kids are, right? They want to copy behavior and they're in a similar age of development where they have similar struggles when they're doing things, and they start to catch on how to develop those micro skills, and it's great. It's a great thing for them. Now, if we talk about the cons, already 2 weeks into daycare, I feel mixed feelings because I see that my child is overall really happy. He's excited to go every day. He's excited when we pick him up, and when we see him, he's fine. He just has a really hard time separating from me in the mornings, which is completely normal for his age. I think that overall he's doing really great, but there are little nuances that I don't love. Like, for example, his private parts are really sore right now, more than ever, and he hit himself yesterday and broke his nose. Or he has been struggling with socializing and has been biting some kids. He got sick the first day of school, so that's another related thing. You doubting whether this is good for them or not being sure if this is good for them because you don't see them. You have way less control over what your child is doing, who he's talking to, who he's relating to, and that sometimes can give you anxiety as a new mom. Now, something that I am kind of mentioning between the lines here, but I want to be really direct about, is what is the best for a happy and healthy child? What is the best option here? A child psychologist, Dr. John Medina, in his book Brain Rules for a Baby, highlights that children thrive in environments where they feel loved, secure, and that is regardless of the setting. I have heard cases from moms that they tell me that yes, their children are at home and that the dynamics between them are really poor. Mom is maybe irritable all the time, miserable, in a bad mood, doesn't have time to cook, doesn't have time to do anything, so the kids are being yelled at or beaten by their parents because parents are in a bad mood and they're trying to cope with everything. So I don't think that that is a great environment for them. If you're going to be so angry, irritable, tired, and burnt out, it's best you take your child to daycare. Someone's going to be taking care of them there, maybe better than you can, and there's no judgment with that. It's just reality. If you are not equipped to be a full-time happy parent, it's best that you get the help that you need. It's important to know that you need to take your child or have your child be in a space where they're safe, happy, loved, taken care of. For those type of families, I think daycare can be a great option. I also think that for parents that obviously are working all day and don't have the means to have an intern nanny at home or a full-time nanny, it's best that they take them to daycare. It's also more cost effective to go for that option. Now, if you have some extra money, if you have the availability for someone that can be in your house that you feel comfortable with, that you think is a safe person, and that you can mold to your liking, I think it's a great idea to have an in-home nanny. I love the system. I think it works. If you find the right person, depending on your family needs, I think that you can go with one or the other or both like I do. Now let's get into the cost comparison. So let me read my notes because I don't want to make mistakes, but cost here is a huge factor. I want to talk about US versus Spain, specifically Madrid, but the average cost of daycare ranges from $800 to $1,200 in the US. And that is plus school expenses, so you should add around $300 to that because, believe it or not, kids stuff is so expensive. Like shoes are as expensive as shoes for adults, and clothes too, and they need like bibs, and the list is long. A full-time nanny can cost from $2,500 to $3,500 a month, and that is expensive. Now in Madrid, daycare can cost around $300 to $600 a month plus school expenses, so again add €300 to that, and then extracurricular activities as well. I think, yeah, it's a little above €600 a month for a good daycare. Now when it comes to full-time nannies, you can look at prices from €1,000 a month to €1,800 a month. That again makes it clear that nannies are the most expensive option both in the US and in Spain, specifically Madrid. It can be cheaper in other cities in Spain. So I think I'm gonna leave this video at that. If you have stories to share, comments to share, please put it down below. I hope that wherever your kid is, whatever you have them do during the day is what's best for them, and that makes them feel happy and safe, so you can be a happy and safe mom as well. That's it for today. I'll see you in another video.